I want to bust this myth about healing yourself because I have heard it so many times and I see it in a lot of practices, and it's not true. You do not specifically need to remember the exact experience when the trauma began or the first feeling of it in order to heal it. A lot of what we experience and a lot of what triggers our trauma or our trauma responses is actually from a time when a lot of us were nonverbal, prior to actually being able to use language to be able to communicate what we are experiencing. You don't have emotions all of a sudden when you can talk and share about them. You've been having them since, I'm gonna go out on a limb here, in utero. That might be a stretch for some of you, but I think we can all agree that from the time that you are born, you have feelings. And do you want to know how that's true? How come babies cry when their tummy hurts? How come babies cry when they're constipated? How come babies cry for you to pick them up? Because they are unhappy and they are expressing an emotion and a need. They may not be able to communicate the complexity of that need to you. Like, I need to be picked up because I want to feel loved. I'm not feeling loved at the moment. They may not be able to articulate that, but that is what crying is meant. This is the only mechanism that I have to get what I need, so I'm going to utilize it. So especially for small t trauma, things that happen in everyday life of needs not being met or inauthenticity that we express in order to get our needs met, what happens is that a lot of these types of trauma triggers happen before the time in which we could talk about them. So we may not necessarily, and I love Gabor Mate put this perfectly, we may not be able to recall the specific experience, but we do remember, because remembering requires more than one sense. It's actually a full body experience. This is part of the reason why I love using breathwork and other modalities that don't necessarily need you to recall the specific experience in order to work through and heal what's lodged in your nervous system, in your fascial, your connective tissues, and really in your body that's constantly playing out something that's not being currently experienced. What other myths would you like busted about healing? Drop it below so that way we can begin to clear the air about healing and start to really unveil what seems to have some stigma or seems to have some beliefs around it that aren't true, so that you can really get to the root of things and move forward with your life.